Hi, welcome to Laura's View and Tarot 2. I am so glad you're here. Today's date is Saturday, July 5th, 2025. In this video, we're going to take a look at a situation that is going on between President Trump, the head of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, and just some possible um, insights from the tarot into what may be going on and if there's a possible connection to a particular 17 post. I'll try to tie all this together nicely for you before we get into the tarot read. So let's just talk about this right now. President Trump has made no secret of the fact that he would like Jerome Powell to resign. He does not have the authority to compel this unless there's cause given. For example, um, fraud or perjury, something like that. Well, that might actually be a basis for his removal before his term ends in next May, 10 months from now, because Jerome Powell recently in front of Congress was trying to justify a renovation that he had, that the Federal Reserve wanted to make to their facilities. Now, what is that facility in Washington, D.C.? It's actually a complex of three buildings. And initially, they had asked for uh, less than $2 billion to, less than, I hate to use that with term of billions, 1.9, but now they're asking for 2.5 billion to do this renovation. And Jerome Powell was pretty adamant that this money was needed and not going to frivolous use. Well, when we start talking big sums like that, for people like me, billions, I wondered, well, is this excessive? I know real estate prices in Washington, D.C. are extremely high. So I did a little research for you and me and found out right now the cost per square foot in that area is $430 to $850 a square foot for new construction. This complex has 1.1 million square feet. Even if we took the high end of that construction rate to completely just level the current facility and build it from scratch, it would it would cost about 935 million. Okay. So he being Jerome Powell, is asking for and not able to justify very well, wanting 2.7 times the cost of building a brand new facility rather than doing some renovations to an existing one. Now, this is coupled on top of the fact that the Fed has had significant losses in the last 3 years. They have lost over $233 billion since 2022. Now, and they're also refusing to lower the interest rates that we work under to borrow money, et cetera, here in the United States. And the current rate is at 4.25 to 4.5%. It's fluctuating in there just slightly. I think it's 4.35. Okay, so I asked for a comparison of a recent inflation period that was similar to this year's in May of 2025, just this past May. Our inflation rate was set at 2.4%. Well, back the year of 2018 had a comparable inflation rate of 2.4%. Yet back then, instead of 4.25 to 4.5% to borrow money, the Fed rate was set at 2.4%. I just don't see any kind of justification to have it be almost double what it was in an identical inflation rate period. So I have no problem understanding why President Trump is frustrated with the Federal Reserve and Jerome Powell as the head of it. However, let's circle back to that renovation that they're asking for. Okay. They asked for more than 2.7 times what it would take to build those buildings new, simply to renovate them. And not to even get into the fact that there are private elevators involved and private dining rooms and rooftop gardens and things like that that just were a part of the original and have not been amended, part of the original plans for those renovations. Again, something he being Jerome Powell, was not candid about in front of Congress. So I was doing a little bit of looking and I went over to the 17 posts and I asked I did a search for Federal Reserve. And I found an interesting post. I'd like to switch to share screen real quick and let you see it. Okay. April 19th, 2018, the year that had the identical inflation rate to May of 2025. One of the questions during a question and answer period with Team Q was Federal Reserve ending, and the answer was structure. I have seen that in the past because I've looked at these posts over the years numerous times. Structure. And it hit me today. These buildings are structures. Is it possible that the shenanigans involved with this exorbitant request for money to renovate a building that far exceeds the cost of complete replacement and the lack of clarity about it, which is going to cause, there's, as of, I make the point, I'm making this video here Saturday, there's at present no indication that there's a formal investigation going on, but there are calls, increasingly calls, to have Jerome Powell be brought back before Congress and explain his statements and justify these costs. And that may involve some consequences for the gentleman. So the answer by the Team Q was structure. And I wondered, here we have the Federal Reserve wanting to update, renovate their building. Crazy costs, especially in light of the fact that they've had $233 billion in losses over the last 3 years. And they're not even a government agency, technically, but they're wanting taxpayer money to do this. I mean, I don't have private elevators and rooftop terraces, and I don't see that in a workday situation, the Federal Reserve should need those either. Is it possible that the explaining that needs to be done about the renovations, the structure, is that possibly a connection to ending the Fed and the 17 post? The only way we're going to know is if we ask the tarot. So let's go do that now. And we'll ask for some additional insights and information and just see what the universe wants us to know about the situation. Okay, thank you. And I'll switch the camera. You can watch me work with the cards. 1 second. So the 17 post back in 2018 that in response to ending the Federal Reserve was one word, structure. Is there a relation to that word and the renovations that are being requested for the Federal Reserve complex in Washington, D.C., and the potential scandal involved with same, plus additional insights and information? So in 2018, did Team Q have a peek and see that this would be a catalyst for some big changes? I think there might be. Let's find out. Not, it's still fun to see what the universe wants to share with us. Okay, our first card is the Five of Wands. Temperance. We have the Four of Wands, the Lovers, the Nine of Pentacles, the Six of Wands, King of Swords. Okay, no hard yes in the form of an ace, but we do have some indications here that there is a connection and things are going to be developing regarding the Federal Reserve. And I don't mean developing as far as renovations of the existing buildings. Okay, so right now there's a lot of conflict going on between President Trump and Jerome Powell and the direction the Federal Reserve has taken. Example, as I said, almost double the interest rate that was had in 2018 for an identical inflationary rate period. Crazy. The temperance, we need to the situation is, while this is a temporary kind of a conflict between them, let's not get our hopes up too high. This temperance card always talks about, having some reasonable expectations for developments you're going to see and what's going to change. Okay, now President Trump is working from a position of strength as far as asking for these. While he does not have the current authority to have Jerome Powell removed unless he is found guilty of some sort of crime, and lying to Congress or perjury is a crime, he's still operating from a position of strength, okay? And he knows it. He would like to have things go a little faster by removing, since Mr. Powell doesn't seem to want to work with Mr. Trump. And we all know the Fed needs to go away. That's our fiat money, and that whole system is changing anyway. But it's changing in a way that's been well established and nothing for us to worry about. Now, right now, the Lovers card. The primary thing for this in any kind of political read is talking about balancing needs and wants. Okay, so while we would want Mr. Powell to step aside and those rates to go down so that people could buy a home or finance a car and take advantage of some of those tax breaks that are going to be out there. And there are ways that we'll still see some benefit regardless of any rate cuts that do or don't happen. But the Lovers card talks about that. That just central to this is just, we know where we want to go. We know what we want to end. We know the changes that need to be coming, and they are. But again, with some reasonable expectations, whether it's for the duration of time for that change to happen or what's going to go on. Let's look at the near future. Okay, lots of pentacles showing up here. The Nine of Pentacles. Now, this is kind of a don't worry, things are going to be, we're going to have that financial independence from the Federal Reserve that we're hoping for. I say that because we got the victory card here of the Six of Wands being the strongest insight card that I've pulled here. And just it's total victory and moving ahead forward. And look here, Mr. T's showing up here. Again, his focus is on making America great again, having a good quality of life for hardworking Americans or legal residents of the United States. And so he's really got his eye on the ultimate prize, which is moving us away from these systems of control and debt slavery that we've had. So let's get a few more cards. This is an interesting topic. There seems to be a lot to be said here. Again, firm foundations for the pushes that are happening and the changes that are being sought. The Tower. It's going to happen, folks. Here's another one confirming it with a Ten of Wands and two more. 10 of Cups. Couldn't get nicer cards if we tried here. And then the King of Cups. Okay, I'm laughing because Tower moment means something's going to happen. Again, we were asking, was there a relation between that 17 post that said structure? The renovation looks like shenanigans going on with that exorbitant request for funds on it. It's going to cause that Tower moment for the Federal Reserve. It is going to be tied to the renovation and the reporting to Congress, etc. So there is going to be a tie in there. And it is, here we got an ending, that this big Federal Reserve moment of Tower moment is going to bring about an end to the Federal Reserve. And it's one that we can all celebrate and be happy about. Absolutely. And thank you to Mr. Trump, who knows how to make those chess moves, and so does the White Hats and Alliance. And they're going to make it. They're going to make it happen. They're going to get it done. Okay. So that's cool to see. So let's recap. President Trump would like the head of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, to resign before his term of office ends next May. He doesn't have the authority to fire him outright unless cause is given. That is potentially there in the fact that Mr. Powell has testified before Congress about the need for almost $2.5 billion, up from 30% from the initial $1.9 billion estimate back in 2021, for some renovations to the complex in Washington, D.C. Now, for comparison, that $2.5 billion is almost 2.7 times what it would take to build those buildings from scratch, much less renovate them. And Under oath, Mr. Powell said that those costs weren't exorbitant. There were things not present that the building plans actually show there were. So there's calls to have a formal investigation done and for this to not go away. It doesn't look like it will. Now, what's interesting is back in 2018, the 17 team answered about ending the Federal Reserve with one word, structure. So I asked if there was a connection between that 17 post in 2018 about structure and the physical structure of the Washington, D.C. Federal Reserve complex and this potential scandal about the renovations. And we got some really interesting cards for this. Okay, if you want to see all of them, back the video up. If you're just here for the recap, stick with me. I'll give you what it was. First of all, the situation is not going to be unending and never ending. The whole thing is encapsulated the topic with the Five of Wands, which is, strife and contention, but not long lasting. We were advised keep our expectations moderate, but they can be positive ones because the changes that Mr. Trump is trying to have come into effect for the Federal Reserve, including up to the possibility of ending it, are based on a firm foundation. That firm foundation is a new financial system ready to go live, moving away from fiat dollars, etc. This is all being done with an eye to balancing the needs and wants of the human race. And we want our sovereignty. We want an end to debt slavery. And those desires have been part and parcel of what the planning has gone in from the White Hats, the Alliance. Moving forward, we got some financial independence here, which tells me that things are going to change. And then farther on from there, we really got confirmation that things were changing. First of all, total victory as far as ending the Fed and this connection here, potential between structures and that complex in Washington, D.C. The Tower card showed up. Tower card means the destruction and chaos. I mean, that's just, there's really no other way to read this. So this is going to be, I think, the catalyst or access point to ending the Fed is going to have something to do with these renovations and the exorbitant costs that they tried to pass on to the U.S. taxpayer for them. Is it ending? Yeah, because these were side by side. The Ten of Wands saying ending. Moving on a little further, we got the Ten of Cups saying these changes that happen are something that is going to be good for people, people-centered changes that we're all going to be happy about, all going to be happy about. So yeah, there is a connection. It does look like in 2018, however it was done, okay, Project Looking Glass, whatever, that the 17 team gave us a hint that what was going to help end the Feds and the Federal Reserve was this renovation project because of that word structure. So there we have it from the tarot and Laura's view combined to give you something to think about this 4th of July weekend here in the United States and the 5th of July just for everybody else. I thank you so much for your time and your attention. I do appreciate each and every one of you. I thank you if you've subscribed, and I really thank you if you've had to resubscribe because unfortunately that is part of what goes on with a conservative-based channel. I tend to have people removed from my roles and likes are kind of undercounted. And I'm trying to make manifest that that changes, but until it does, we just live with the way it is. And I thank you again, as I said, if you've had to resubscribe. So stay safe, everyone. Enjoy your life, smile, and remember, fear is a useless emotion. Sometimes caution is a good way to proceed, but not fear, whether it's for economics or change or whatever is happening. Until next time, if you're willing to receive it, I send you love, light, and I wish you everything bright. Bye.